Hello everyone, it's the Cursing Seamstress. I'm back for just a bit. I wanted to touch base to let you know that I'm still here, if anybody cares. But I live in a state where a stay-at-home order has been mandated. And that doesn't mean you can't go out. You can go to the grocery store, you can go pick up food, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the pharmacy, you can go to help others who need help, who are ill, and you can go to the doctor if you need to. So I really, excuse me, have been socially isolating myself. The highlight of my day yesterday was taking my new puppy to the vet because she was due a vaccination. And yes, I do have a new puppy. So at the vet, it was so interesting because they told me when I made the appointment that it was drive-through only, and I was to drive up to the front of the building, call, let them know I was out front. They would come out, get the puppy. They did. They wore gloves, a gown, and a mask. Got the puppy. The vet called me on my cell phone to let me know what was done. And then they brought the puppy back out to me with the bill. I wrote a check and then went on my way. So people are taking this very seriously, as they should. I have not had a great interest in sewing. I could blame some of that on the puppy because I really am spending a lot of time with her, and I feel like I have to watch her and not watch her all the time, but know where she is at all times. Right now she is asleep right next to my bed in Georgia's spot, and Georgia does not like it. But I'm making sure that I spend quality time with Georgia, and we are going to get in the car and we are going to go to the dump because where I live, it's a rural area, and we have to take our own trash to the landfill. So we're going to do that together. What I have been sewing are masks. And it's interesting, I know there's been a lot of controversy about masks and whether they're worthwhile to sew. Initially, reports were that hospitals would not take them, but the CDC now says that homemade cloth masks are usable by medical facilities in an emergency, and so there are hospitals that will take them. I think our hospital here is okay. I did ask the vet yesterday if he wanted some. He didn't because his wife and he sew. So I don't know if she's making but they had plenty. I did find a couple of YouTube channels that had instructions for sewing them. Now I made a couple, and I don't remember the website, but you can find this pattern a lot of places. This is the pleated kind of mask. There is bias binding that runs across the top and the bottom, and I did use the kind that has a wire in here. The wire that it was recommended to use, floral wire. I used a pipe cleaner. I went to Walmart and got some pipe cleaners. So that's what I have here, and it's encased in the binding at the top. So so that's that. It does use an awful lot of bias binding. This was homemade. I had made it quite a while ago and just used this printed fabric for the bottom. I think the length of the bias binding is 54 inches, so that's quite a bit. This is actually some sort of a ribbon that I used and just folded over for the top of this. That's that. This is another one. It's the same, very same pattern here. This is handmade bias binding here, and this was store-bought that I had, and the wire is here in the top. So I guess these are, even with the wire, I don't know of why they couldn't be washed in the washing machine. The other pattern I found today, I found this pattern on Tiana's Closet. It's Tiana''S Closet. This, they give you a template for a female adult, a male adult, and a child's mask. I like the shape of this. This is the kind that has the seam down the front, so it kind of bows out from your face. And it uses elastic that comes out from the side and goes around the ear. So if you want to download this and print it out, and the instructions are there as well. I did want to point out that if you make a mask, you really shouldn't try it on. If you were to try it on, you need to wash it. So this is the mask from that second pattern that I told you about. So it bows out here. There is a seam down the front. I folded, there are two pieces of fabric here. I folded the top seam allowance opposite from each other to give a little bit more protection here rather than folding the seam open. Whether that would make a real difference, I don't know. This is very simple. This is simpler than the other one to make. And I have quite a bit of 1/4 inch elastic, and you can cut elastic longwise if you need to. This is simpler. I like this quite a bit. It does pull on your ears. In the instructions, the instructions do not tell you how long to cut the piece of elastic. So for the first one I made, and I'll show that to you too, I did try it on, and just so I would know how long to cut that. And of course this would vary depending on what size you're making, if you're making the male adult or the kids. But I did have to try this one on. And for your information, so you don't have to, I cut this elastic to 7.5 inches, and I overlapped the elastic about 1/4 of an inch or so, give or take. And that seemed to work well. And then when you put the elastic in, you just cover up where you lapped it over. It doesn't matter if it shows, but anyway, this is this mask. It's much lighter than the other one. It's very simple. You just fold the side edges over twice and feed the elastic through and then sew it down. I did want to mention something else, and this video is very brief. I researched about washing. I've heard this before, and there's a lot of conflicting information if you want to do your own research about if the washing machine kills germs. Again, lots of conflicting information. What I have always heard is it's not the washing machine that kills germs so much as it is the dryer. And that was supported in a Time magazine article under their health section, and I think it was, I forgot what under that, but if you were to search, you would find it. It was one of the articles that popped up pretty readily. It said that it's not the washing machine, it's the dryer. And it said that it's important to dry items until they're totally dry, at least 28 minutes. And of course that depends if you're washing and drying a huge load, but 28 minutes on high. Your dryer needs to be on high. It didn't give a temperature. But anyway, that was from Time. And then I looked at some other articles, and they said that the washing machine on the highest temperature setting would kill most viruses and bacteria. I'm going to stick with the dryer. I've always heard that, and I tend to believe that more. But the article does need to be dried until it's absolutely, totally dry with no moisture in it whatsoever. This is a personal preference, and I do this quite a bit with extra dirty laundry. I like the brown bottles of Lysol that you can use for cleaning non-porous things, but you can also use it in your laundry. It's mostly alcohol if you read the label. I don't have it here, but I've looked years ago and I forgot the percentage of alcohol. It's very high. I think it's in the 90s. It's hard to find now, but if you can find it, that's wonderful. So if I have a really dirty bit of laundry that I'm doing, I will put some of that brown Lysol on there. I don't mind the smell. My daughter hates the smell of it. I think it smells wonderfully. And Georgia's looking at me. She wants to go somewhere. I think that's it. I did want to say I have plenty of toilet paper, not because I went out and bought a bunch of it once coronavirus became a thing. I have always kept a lot of toilet paper. I have an upstairs bathroom, and I keep a drawer in my bathroom full of toilet paper. I have 2 downstairs bathrooms. Both of those are kept full. But I had also on hand a lot of napkins. I still have plenty of napkins. I don't know if napkins are flushable. I also had on hand, Kleenex I had on hand, but I did buy another box after, Georgia, come here. After coronavirus came out, I did buy a box of tissue, I guess maybe before people realized that you could use Kleenex type tissue. And the other thing I've started doing, which is just so practical, is I am such a hoarder. I had already a bunch of rags that I would use for cleaning my wooden floors. I would mix up a batch in a coffee container, the plastic, like Maxwell House or Folgers plastic container. I hoard those also. I would mix those up and get one of those, mix up some Murphy's oil soap, which doesn't kill germs. It's just good for floors and wood. Mix that up and use one of my rags to wipe down my floors. Just get down on my hands and knees and clean into the corners and things like that. And I would use that on my furniture also, and I would just launder them and reuse those rags. I use those for washing the car, for all kinds of things. Well, I'm doing that more now. I'm doing that with the puppy because she's a puppy, and she, even though I take her out a lot, she will pee on things, the floor, whatever. Okay. So I have been using that with either bleach or some of the brown Lysol in the water, and I just keep that kind of hanging over the edge of my plastic container. I'll wring it out and keep that, and I will use that if I need to on the floor. I would not use that same cloth on countertops or anything like that, or for any other purpose, but cleaning up a spot maybe where she peed. So I'm kind of back to basics with that, and I just think that makes sense. And so we will survive this. And my county still has 2 cases. Sadly, there was an outbreak in a neighboring county where a rest home became infected, and some of the employees quit showing up, and it was a pretty dire situation. I think one of the residents did die. So these are really different times, and you are going to have to alter your way of living. And some of these things that we're doing now, we may carry on doing. I think some of the things are very practical things. But anyway, I'm not going to belabor that point. I know everyone else is dealing with this. And I am not complaining at all because I live in a rural area, and I feel like I'm fairly well protected, as is my family. So I will let you go. Be safe, and I'll try to check in again in a week or so. I'm going to try to start sewing a little bit more. I'll probably make a few more of these masks. Oh, I forgot to say, the news report I heard today for the very first time was that the White House, upon advisement from its medical team, is now recommending that healthy people, please Georgia, healthy people start wearing masks out in the community. And that is to protect others, because people can carry the virus and not be aware. So I thought that was very interesting. Whether or not people are going to do it, they were initially in my town, and then people kind of quit. They probably ran out of masks. But I thought that was interesting. If you're interested in making masks, I recommend, looking. YouTube has tons of them. So I'm not using any of the HEPA filters that you can get from vacuum cleaner bags, or from the return filters that you use in your air conditioning and heating system. I'm not going to that extreme. I'm not going to do that. So, all right, you guys have a wonderful day. I will talk with you later. Bye-bye.